Amazing. So welcome everyone. My name is Kimberley Bueno-Schoenig. I am CEO and founder of KBS Consulting, where I provide HR, business, and career consulting services to corporations, small businesses, nonprofits, and individuals. So today I've partnered up with West Caulfield Library, Caldwell Library, Public Library, to provide you with business planning. Which seems to be a very, very popular topic in terms of entrepreneurship and business and starting a business. As you might know, pandemic obviously has affected hundreds of people this year, and many people have either been furloughed or lost employment with the company. And so there are some people that are turning to entrepreneurship to help gain revenue. So what we're going over today are some points that I think are incredibly critical to business planning. I have built several businesses and have scaled them to over 100K. So I know the ins and outs of starting both a service and a product-based business. This year I won Best 50 Women in Business by NJ Biz, and I've been featured in several local publications such as Hip New Jersey, Women on Top, the Hoboken Girl, and more. So if you have any particular questions about building a business or entrepreneurship, I'd be happy to set up some consultation if you are interested in learning more and getting some feedback or insight on your particular business idea. But today, we are specifically going to go over some business planning topics and strategies in order for you to really think about if entrepreneurship is right for you, if the business that you're thinking about is the right solution to a particular problem, and if you think that the answer to both those prior questions is the right pathway, how you can get started on building your business. Awesome. So business plan is the biggest thing that I like to start off with. And if you have any particular questions, please note that at any point in time, I'm more than happy to answer them. If you'd like to write them in the chat, that's the best way. I can interrupt the presentation and kind of curate the conversation based off of the questions. And if you're watching the replay, feel free to send an email to the West Caldwell Public Library for additional questions. I'd be happy to answer it there. All right, so business plan. If you don't know what a business plan is, it is essentially a document that really goes over all the pieces of what your business idea is. And for personal reasons, I truly believe that a business plan is critical to any launch of a business or any particular entrepreneurship idea. It's really essentially trying to help you identify what exactly you are offering, whether it's a product or whether it's a service or whether it's a technology innovation or something outside that scope, right? So part of the business plan that you are going to be creating, and this can be done on Microsoft Word or a Google Doc. It can literally live on your Google Drive or in a journal. What's important here is that you can reference it at any point in time and be able to make edits or additions to it, so that way you're keeping track of your progress. Some things to include in your business plan should be a mission or vision, some of your business goals, whether it's by quarter or by year. What's important is that you have someone who can review your business plan or essentially give you outside input, because what you could end up doing is writing a business plan that you think sounds great, but a third party or an individual who may not have an idea of what you're trying to build out might have specific questions about exactly what you're offering. So for example, if you are someone who's interested in building a business related to a particular product, say for example, you are interested in producing a cleaning product because due to the pandemic, cleaning supplies are heavily valued at this point in time, and maybe you're interested in building a product that is either eco-friendly, pet friendly, maybe it's good for people who have allergies or sensitive skin. And so with that, it's important to think about when you're presenting this product, it's always good to get outside input to determine whether or not that product is going to solve a problem or if it's something that person would be willing to pay money for. So part of your business plan is obviously write it out on either a piece of paper or have it written and live in a Google Doc. And again, it should include your mission, vision, your business goals, and some of the next topics that I'm going to talk about. So each section in this presentation should have a section in your business plan. So what we've kind of talked about is kind of your overview, right? You're defining what your business idea is. So what exactly is your business? What's the company's mission? What's your vision? What are your business goals? What are you hoping to achieve with your business? That should be kind of the front point of your business plan. As we move on in this presentation, I'm going to go over specific sections that are crucial to your business plan and in your business in general. And the reason why I go over this by section is to kind of help you start thinking about what actually entails in entrepreneurship. Unfortunately, there is no guidebook. There's no like easy startup book that you can read about that will really help you better understand what it takes to run a business. So hopefully this will kind of help clarify or bring to light some of the questions that you may have. So this is an example that I have for you in terms of the mission and vision statement. So I've picked two significantly different companies. One is a product and one is a service. And that's intentional because I kind of want to show you the difference between the two and why it's important to understand the difference, right? So what we have here is Coca-Cola. Now, their mission statement says to refresh the world, to inspire moments of optimism and happiness, to create value and make a difference. Their vision statement says our vision is to craft the brands and choice of drinks that people love to refresh them in body and spirit. So if you can kind of identify the difference between their mission statement versus their vision statement, you can tell that the difference is that one is what they're working towards, right? And what they are saying they're working towards is to create value and make a difference, right? Their vision in terms of their company is to create a brand and a particular choice of product that people typically will want to go to. So that is kind of like a distinguishing factor between the two. Because I think that sometimes what I get a lot of questions about is like, what's the difference between mission and vision? So what I always recommend to clients is to kind of look at some of the brands that you use on a day-to-day basis, right? If you use these brands on a daily basis, then clearly you have some sort of value attached to them, or you value them in some sort of way. So if you're able to analyze them from a business perspective, like what I'm trying to show you right now, then it will kind of help change your perspective and how you approach your business. Now let's look at Deloitte, right? So because Deloitte is a service-based business. And if we read the mission statement, basically is they talk about helping both the capital markets and our member firm clients operate more effectively. That's their mission. Their vision is to aspire to be the standard of excellence, the first choice of the most sought after clients and talent. So again, similar situation with the two different distinguished features of their mission and vision. And this is kind of what you want to think about when you're developing your own mission and vision. You want to be answering the question, like, what are you trying to do and how are you trying to do it? Basically, right? What is your vision for the company? What do you want to be? What do you want to do? What is your mission for the company? All right, so now that we've kind of talked about like the mini overview of your business idea, you've kind of been able to write out exactly what you're trying to achieve. Now we're going to go into one of the most important things that I think a lot of people don't have as much information about, and that's the financials. So, what I think is really important when it comes to financials is first, I think it's very, very important. And I've learned this just from running my own businesses, and that's to make sure you review your personal and business expenses. And what I mean by that is before you even launch into this business idea that you have, make sure you do your research and do due diligence. And I might repeat the terms research and due diligence throughout this presentation only because I think it's something that is very, very important to the entire process of building a business, right? It's important for you to identify what exactly you will need to pay for in order to make your business get off the ground and running, right? So some examples of this is, are you going to have to hire? Is that something that you will have to consider? Do you have to pay for products? Um, do you have to pay for ingredients? Do you have to pay for getting a website? Are you going to hire someone to do marketing? These are different expenses that you'll need to make sure that you have written down in your business plan. So that way you can keep track of what exactly, how much money you need to have in order to start building your business. Now, depending on your business, some businesses might require a little bit more of money and revenue up front to launch your business. Some businesses might not necessarily have too much money that you need to give up front. And it's just depending upon the type of business you're trying to pursue. Now, when it comes to financials, something that I really think is important is to make a budget. Now, if you're not familiar with making a budget for yourself personally, this is where you would probably have to become a little bit better at making a budget. Because let me tell you, I am someone who did not make a budget and, struggle with making a budget for myself personally. But it's something that you're going to have to learn how to do when it comes to running a business. So when it comes to making a budget, what's going to be helpful is reviewing those personal and business expenses, right? So that way you can really understand how much money you're going to have to allocate every single month towards your business. Now, something that I think a lot of people might not know about, because I did not know about it before until I started doing more and more research, is that when you start thinking about your financials, and say, for example, you are ready to launch, you have already done your due diligence, you've already done your research on the business idea that you're trying to pursue, and you are ready now to proceed and hit the ground running. So there are a couple things that you're gonna have to first do in order to officially formulate your business. And one of the things that you're gonna have to do is I'm going to talk about it a little bit later, is some of the official documentation to formalize it with the government, right? The government and the state. Once all of that is completed, and I'll talk a little bit more about the specific information that you'll have to fill out later on in this presentation. The next thing that a lot of people think about is their financials, like how they're going to talk about where they're going to put the money, or what are they going to do. Now, the biggest question I get all the time is whether or not they should have a personal or a business bank account. And I am not a financial advisor, so I can't give financial advice to you. However, what I've done with my business, and something that I personally believe wholeheartedly, is to make sure that you open up a separate business bank account. Again, I'm not a financial advisor. I can't give financial advice, but I'll explain the reasoning behind why I think opening up a business bank account is beneficial for business owners. And the reason for that is because what ends up happening is, depending upon how well your business does or how well it doesn't do, Being able to separate your personal expenses and your business expenses, A, will help you during tax season. And B, if you end up getting bankrupt, or if you have to like close your business, your personal assets won't get affected should your business close. So that is just a few things that I think are important to note about. So I always believe in opening up a separate business bank account. Now, it might just seem easy to, you know, have a budget and, do your research on expenses and being able to open up your first business bank account. Or maybe this is like a new venture that you're going into and you're excited about opening up your business bank account. It's important for you to already start tracking, to already start tracking track your spending. And what I mean is, say for example, you are not using an accounting system like QuickBooks, you're going to have to manually track your spending. So that means making sure you have all your receipts, have photocopies of your receipts living somewhere. You know what purchases were made and for what reason. You're keeping track of any business lunches or breakfasts or events that you're attending, because all of that is going to be required when you file your taxes at the end of the year. So that is pretty important, I would say. All right. So the next thing about financials is I highly recommend that you work with an accountant, because, and I would say if you have the budget, because accountants can kind of help you identify what is acceptable as a business expense and what isn't acceptable. You can use tools like QuickBooks, which will help with your, communicating with your accountant and help with tracking all of your spending. And I think QuickBooks also even has an option where you can hire an accountant through them. But sometimes your budget doesn't have it, and I wouldn't say it's required. It's just something that I do recommend, just because I feel a little bit better when I work with an accountant. Now, when it comes to invoicing clients or potential partners, there are tools like QuickBooks where you can send an invoice. But I recently discovered a free tool that I've actually been using and I've been really enjoying, is a platform called Wave. So if you go to wave.com, they essentially are a completely free platform where you can create invoices. They do have a paid option if you want to take in money and accept money through their platform. But essentially what I like using them for is to creating invoices and downloading it as a PDF to send over to my clients. So I find that is a great tool, only because with QuickBooks, you're paying a monthly fee and that can get costly. And then not only that is that they when you go through QuickBooks, your client can obviously pay through QuickBooks, but they take a percentage out of that, and sometimes it can be pretty big. So I like to do Wave, and typically, depending upon how your client prefers to pay, they either have to pay through check, or you can set up an arrangement with them in terms of how you'll receive payment. But specifically in terms of invoicing, I like to use Wave for that. Something I also included on here is financial planners. So I haven't personally worked with a financial planner, but I do have plans to in the future. But something that I think could be useful for anyone if they're interested and have the budget for it is to work with a financial planner. And the reason for this is because I truly believe that if you have your finances in order, that is going to help you with the success of your business. And I think when you have someone who is a third party giving you insight on how you are spending your money and cautioning you to not spend your money in certain areas, that could be helpful as well. All right, so financial section is done. Now we're going to go into branding. So keep in mind again that these sections are supposed to be within your business plan. You could break them out, but ideally what I think is important is that you have a document with everything in it explaining how you're going to pay for your business, what expenses you have, what is your business, and all the other sections that I'm going to go over. All right, branding, because I think that branding is such a big term and there are different understandings around branding. Let me just drink water really quick. All right. So I think when people think of branding, I think a lot of people think that they have to pay thousands of dollars to hire someone to create a brand for themselves. And I think that is, you know, pretty helpful if you are someone who has the money. But if you don't have the money, I'm here to tell you that you can definitely create your own branding for free. Gabriella says, do you have a business plan template you would recommend? I don't necessarily have a template where you can just enter information in. However, if anyone's interested, all you can do is just drop your email in the chat, and I can send you kind of like I have like a questionnaire that I send to my clients for a business plan. And what I usually tell them to do is either list out all the things that I'm noting in the business plan checklist or answering a question from that business plan checklist. So I can always send that over to you if you're interested. That's a good question, Gabriella. All right, so with branding, I think sometimes people get a little overwhelmed because it's a big term. But I'm here to show you how to create your own branding for free. And I get excited because I think this section, I think every part of the presentation that I give in this specific one is incredibly helpful, but I think branding in general is kind of overwhelming, especially for people who don't understand like how to build a brand. And so I'm here to show you exactly what to do to get started. So something we're going to go over is your company colors, logo. And the reason why I think that you should always have your company colors and a logo is because that is what's going to help visually define what your company will look like. And not only that, part of your branding should be that you pick 3 words that can help you define your brand. And I think this is kind of like the basic structure on building a brand for your business. If you can select company colors, pick a logo, and define your business in 3 words. How do you want people to define your business? That would be the best way to create like a mini brand for your business. So here are some examples. I highly recommend Pinterest. If you do not have Pinterest, it's free. It's a free platform similar to Tumblr, similar to Instagram. It's essentially like a picture social media application that a lot of users kind of use for shopping, but I think actually, and vision boards and inspiration, but I specifically think it's wonderful for branding. So what I'm trying to show you here in this slide is essentially if you type in, if you type in like color brands or color palettes, then you'll see like a wide variety of color palettes that are already created for you. And I think this is a great starting point because then you can see the colors that go well with each other, and you can choose and pick which color scheme matches your business. So for example, Um, I run an online pet accessories shop as another business of mine. And something that I wanted people to feel when they were to see our brand is um, like earth, grass, um, like cozy feel. And so we went with a like deep blue, greenish, and like an accent color of orange for our brand because we felt that it would evoke like a cozy feel with the grassy photos that we would have. Um, and so that is something to consider when you're trying to combine the three words that you've been able to describe your business with the color scheme that you're trying to select. So if you were to select this color scheme, some terms that would probably make sense with this color scheme are like plants, right? Greenery, maybe like if I'm thinking about a business for this specific color palette, I'd probably think of a plant shop, or maybe like a interior design, right? It's something to think about. All right, so now that the mini brand section is done, we're going to go into social media. And I think social media, a lot of people feel that they have a grasp onto social media because they use it on a personal level. But I think what people end up asking me for help on is using it for business. And I think that when it comes to social media from a business perspective, it it requires a lot more energy and effort from you. So we're going to talk about social media and marketing essentially. And my biggest tip to anyone that's starting a business is to claim those platform accounts. So what I mean by that is to say, for example, your business name is Susan's Cleaning. You want to make sure you have Susan's Cleaning as your username on Instagram, Facebook, Pinterest, Twitter, Reddit, YouTube, literally every single platform. And the reason for this is because you want that consistency. Consistency is so critical to building your social media brand awareness and in marketing in general. And the reason why this is so critical is because you want it to be as easy as possible for clients to find you. And if clients can't find you because you have different usernames that are not consistent, then you might end up losing a potential client just because it was just so hard to find you as a business. So make sure you claim all your platform accounts. And that could also be a way for you to determine what your business name is going to be. So that way it's super easy and everything is the same amongst all platforms. The next thing that's really important is to make sure you complete all social media steps. So if you are, sometimes you get notified that, oh, you've only completed 1 out of 10 steps. Make sure you finish all those 10 steps. Because for example, on Instagram, if you don't finish all 3 or 4 steps that they had, and I think the 4th step was like following like 100 people or something, or following 50 people. There's some sort of like minimum that you have to hit. If you don't hit that, then they won't promote you as a business organically to other users in your area, or they won't open up as many features to you until you hit that minimum, business features to you until you hit that minimum, because they want to see that you're a legitimate business, right? That's like one of their ways to kind of screen out people who might not be using it for, authentic reasons. So with that being said, once you complete all of the steps, have a consistent posting schedule. And keep in mind, I know with my consulting firm, I'm not very good about it, but it is something that's important, being able to be consistent with all your posting, especially when you first launch, is super critical, because that is what is going to tell other clients that your business is valid or it is authentic, it's real, it's not a scam. And the reason for this is because when you're consistently posting, people are seeing that you're active. You're not just, uh, like have it there and like leave it. What's also important about consistent posting is that when you are consistently posting, your engagement goes up, especially. Instagram wants users to be on the platform. All social media wants users to be on the platform as long as possible. So for example, on Instagram, I like to use it as an example because essentially the algorithm will push out content that they know people want to see. So if they start seeing that one of your posts is getting more comments, they're going to want to push that out without you having to pay, right? And I think that goes on to my next point. If you can avoid paying for ads on these platforms when you first start out, that would be probably to your benefit. I think if you can grow organically as much as you possibly can, that's going to help you much more in the long run. And when it comes to social media platforms, I highly recommend that you get on all these platforms listed on this screen. There's a few more that I think would be good as well. If you can get on all of them, that would be beneficial for your business. But right now, these are the hot platforms. All right, we're almost done. So thank you so much for sticking with me. We're now going to go over scheduling, and this is scheduling in terms of your social media. All right, so what does it mean, really? Maybe you're familiar with it. Maybe you've heard of people scheduling their social media content, but essentially what it kind of entails now, I only recommend this for people who actually feel good about doing it or feel that it's important. I don't do it myself because I just know that it's not something that I prioritize. But if it's something that you are passionate about and you feel is going to help your business and it's going to save you time, then I think this is going to be a good strategy for you to implement because it definitely helps people. If you can have a virtual calendar. So I think that if you can have a virtual calendar that really showcases what days you're posting what, and if you can plan out at least one week out, I've seen people plan out 6 months out. I've seen people plan out a year out. And it's just a matter of what your preference is. There are organizations that do this. There are organizations that don't take this strategy. However, it's a strategy that I'm going to share with you as an option if you feel like that works for your business. The most important thing with scheduling is I think that it's really important to understand that when you're scheduling out your content and either creating it or pre-scheduling it on the platforms, you want to be able to measure and evaluate the content that you're pushing out. So this is not to say that, you've planned out 6 months out and you're just following that schedule. If you see that there is a post that is doing really well, or if you're seeing a post that's not doing really well in terms of style or maybe vernacular or maybe of tone or etc., you want to be able to be flexible in your schedule. So you want to be able to change what you're posting based off of the analytics that you're getting. So always make sure you're reviewing analytics because I think that's heavily important in your business in general, but specifically in this instance, we're talking about social media. So it's always important for you to review the analytics on your social media so that way you know exactly what's working, what's not working. All right, so I think we're getting to this last section here, which is all about business formation. So I think business formation is I've already touched on it a little bit, but it's one of the most important things to ensure that you get done. So that way you're considered a legitimate business, right? So let's talk about the official and legal paperwork. So if you can, if you can find an accountant or a lawyer to help you with this, that would be great. Um, but if you can't, I can kind of give you some tips on how to do it yourself. But again, I'm not a lawyer or accountant, so I can't give you legal advice or financial advice. I can just share my experience. I have experience starting an LLC with, LegalZoom. I have experience starting an LLC with a lawyer. I have experience starting an LLC doing it myself. Now that I've done it myself, it's a lot easier once you do it once by yourself, because you start to know the process, you know what is required in order to be formalized. But if you don't know, if you're unsure, I always recommend reaching out to a lawyer because they can really help you understand any laws that are new, and can make sure that your business is formed properly. Um, so you want to determine the appropriate legal business entity, and that can mean LLC, that can mean sole proprietor, that can mean, C corp. There's a wide variety of legal business entities. Now, usually what ends up happening is, if you're an entrepreneur, typically you're either a sole proprietor or an LLC. I am an LLC, and I can share the difference between the two. And typically my understanding between the two is that sole proprietorship means that you're you know, the person, you are the business, right? You are still the business as an LLC. However, your personal assets are not separated from your business assets when you're a sole proprietor. If you're an LLC, they're separate, right? LLC is like your own separate entity. So for me, I think LLC is a better option, but you want to make sure you want to do your due diligence and research on that. And of course, in order to be able to formalize your business, you need to have a business name. Now, this is going to be the name that goes in front of your legal business entity. There's also a thing called doing business as, which means, like, say, for example, instead of filing my business as KBS Consulting LLC, I filed it as Kimberley Bueno Schoenig LLC, but I wanted to promote my business as KBS Consulting. I can still keep that LLC original name and just file an additional paperwork saying, like, well, actually, I also want my business to be called KBS Consulting, and it will be like an add-on name. So that's always an option too, if you decide that the LLC name wasn't the right option, or you don't want that LLC name to be the one that gets promoted. It's really up to you. What's also crucial is that you're going to have to file for EIN number, which is employee identification number. And this is what is actually going to be done with the IRS. This is what is required for you to register with them as a business entity. Then you want to make sure you register your business on a state and local and federal government level, obviously with the IRS or federal government. So you just want to make sure that you're doing your due diligence and filling out all the proper paperwork that is required. There might be some businesses that require more paperwork. There might be some businesses that don't require as much paperwork. It's dependent upon your business idea. And last thing I think is really important is to make sure you check for any licenses or permits or additional paperwork you need to file with your local city. So for example, zoning. If there are any zoning or health department issues, you want to make sure that you file that and have records of it. And the reason why I still have this as a section that I think needs to be included in your business plan is because you need to keep yourself accountable. When you are a business owner, you cannot rely on someone else and put the blame on them and say, like, well, you didn't tell me, because you are the person who is the owner and founder of your business. So having a business plan that keeps yourself accountable for the things that you need to get done and the things that you said you did research on, this is a document that will essentially be able to help you with that process to keep you accountable. Now, what could be helpful is like what I said, getting an accountant, finding a lawyer, a financial planner to help you be accountable for yourself. But in the long run, when you're a business owner, you have to be reliant on yourself and make sure that you get the stuff that needs to get done. And I think, oh, okay. So some legal entities that you might have to deal with if you're in the state of New Jersey is the State of New Jersey Division of Revenue and Enterprise Services, the business registration, and of course the IRS. And that is all I have for you. I am going to see if you guys have any questions. Now, if you want the business plan checklist that I created, that I create for clients, just drop your email in the chat box and I will save your email and I will send it over. I will send over the checklist to you tomorrow morning. Yeah, tomorrow morning. And I will send that over to you. And then I think I have a few more webinars with the public library. So the West Caldwell Public Library. So just make sure you follow them on social media, their Facebook and Instagram, so that way you can stay up to date. Because I believe that I'll be working with them on providing some career professional development webinars as well. Now, something that a lot of individuals reach out to me for can range from entrepreneurship coaching, business coaching, or career coaching. So if that's something that you're interested in, definitely reach out to me if you are interested. I'd be happy to help. My background is in HR for financial services. I've hired and I've terminated people. I've had employees in my own business. So if you are looking for some insight on your business idea, if it's even something that you can pursue or how to pursue it, definitely reach out. Also, I did found a nonprofit organization within Hudson County called Women Entrepreneurs of Hudson County. And if you are based in New Jersey, even though we specifically called it, or I specifically called it Hudson County, we do offer free to low cost resources to female entrepreneurs in the area. And we open it up to anyone in New Jersey. I'll be launching a Women Entrepreneurs International for anyone around the world, but the nonprofit that I currently have has already over 500 members, and it's a really great nonprofit if you're looking to meet like-minded women. We've recently launched some awesome initiatives like We Mentors if you're looking for a mentor or want to be a mentor. For female entrepreneurs, and we just launched We Collaborators. So if you are looking to partner up with another business in the area to build marketing partnerships and relationships, we just launched that as well. So hopefully this was incredibly helpful to you all. I will be sending this recording over to Rochelle from West Caldwell to see if they have like an option for people to watch the replay. But if not, I'll definitely be sending an email to those that send me their email with the business plan checklist. So if there's no questions, I'm just going to close it out here. So thank you all so much for sticking with me for this good hour. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out. And I really appreciate your time. Hopefully this was helpful. And if you have any other particular questions or topics you want me to go over, please feel free to reach out to the West Caldwell Public Library. And if you let them know that you're interested in a particular topic or specific topic, they can let me know and I'll be sure to deliver on that. So thank you all so much for tuning in, and have a good night and Happy New Year. Bye.